everybody, we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you all so much for coming. Welcome to Awesome Women in Digital Media, which the fact that I'm on that panel feels weird to say aloud.
Yeah. We will have to pick a corner so we can box, because you definitely deserve to say that.
Well,
all right,
you're very lovely. It just feels really weird to be like, hello, 'tis I, an awesome woman. Enjoy.
It's an aggressive support, yeah.
All right. I'm going to open before I get us to introduce our lovely panelists today. I'm going to let everybody know the DragonCon charity partner for 2023 is Cure for Childhood Cancer. It's dedicated to conquering childhood cancer through funding targeted research, supporting patients and their families. There is a QR code here that you guys can scan. There are also buckets that you can put physical money in if you so happen to carry that still. And for $125,000, for all of that is raised, DragonCon will match it. So let's make them pay for that, because that would be dope. All right. So we're going to start down the line with my beautiful love, Tyra.
Hi, what am I doing?
I would like you guys to say your name, what you do, and how you happen to find yourself in the world of digital media.
Oh, Lord. Okay, so I'm Tyra Burton. I'm a professor of marketing at Kennesaw State University. I also podcast on occasion. I have a podcast through my university called Building Bold Connections. So if you want to learn about leadership, we're there for you. But I found myself in digital media because of a game called World of Warcraft. And my best guy friend who just wanted to make a podcast. And so we started leveling Azeroth 17 years ago. I can't even remember. It's so long ago. But we don't still do it. We need to. But that's how I got into digital. And then I started teaching it because I'm in marketing, and you can't really not do digital and be in marketing. So.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Leanne Lord. I am a stand-up comedian, author, podcaster, rabid Star Trek fan.
With boyfriend would be so proud.
Yes, he would. Yes, my boyfriend's a Star Wars guy, so it's rubbed off. Anyway, how I got into digital media, it was accidental. I think I just, as new things came about, I said, oh, that looks cool. I want to learn how to do that. Or, the first person who built my website didn't do what I wanted. I'm like, you know what? I'll figure out how to do this myself. So I'm one of those people. I have a podcast up and running. I left it up, called People with Parents. I started doing that as a reaction to talk about the role reversal between adult children and aging parents, because they do that and it's shocking. And what do you do when that happens? And it's funny, poignant stories that would happen between me and my parents as I was trying to take care of them and preserve my sanity. And then as a stand-up, I edit and post my own clips. I've been told I shouldn't do that, but I'm a perfectionist. And when you want something done, you ask a woman.
Hey.
Hi, my name is Sue. I'm one of the hosts of Women at Warp. We are a Star Trek podcast exploring intersectional diversity in infinite combinations. And that show has been going for over 8 years now. We have never missed a release date, which is one of the proudest things I can say, because especially with ADHD, that means a lot to me personally. I found myself in digital media. I was the kid in middle school who taught myself HTML by viewing source back on the original version of Mozilla before it was called Firefox.
Wow.
I'm older than I look. And I got into podcasting by emailing my favorite podcast. And then I was invited on as a guest. And then I was invited on as a host. And then I started my own. So be careful. It's a slippery slope sometimes.
It gets like that. So I have to fill out these amazing 3 women. I don't know how I'm going to do it. But hi, I'm ChelseaBytes. It's wonderful to meet all of you. I've done several different spaces. I'm a variety streamer who does tabletop. I build computers. I like to cook. We love anime, all that wild stuff. So yeah, how do you fit all of that into one person and showcase it streaming? And that's just what I do. And that's grown into hosting for Amazon, AMC, getting to work with these amazing people here at DragonCon. So I've been going for 10 years and I never even knew what lied under the surface and what y'all have been doing just, behind the scenes. So I get to join in on that. But also getting to work with Twitch as their women's guild lead for their huge sponsor community they're working on right now for female streamers and anyone femme presenting as well. We do not discriminate at all. And just teaching the power of collaboration, access, and uplifting voices and providing opportunities because we dang well know women need it. Because when you see the same COD FPS formula on the front page of Twitch every 5 seconds, with the same pasty guy with the same glasses, it gets so repetitive. So my job is to break that up. And that's been 4 months going. I'm really proud of it. And I'm excited to wrap y'all into it too. I'm really going to pull on y'all for that. Seriously. So thank y'all for having me.
And just to get everybody introduced to me, my name is Alex Smith. I'm the DM of the Actual Play podcast Quid Pro Roll, which was a very serious campaign about dragons before my players happened. Now it's suspiciously a lot about wrestling. Look, I show up and I'm a gremlin on like everybody else's panels, and it's really just to get out the energy of what happens to me on my show. And I'm going to be the moderator for this evening because for some reason the digital media track has faith in me. Bless their little hearts. So the first thing that I am going to open the door with and ask you guys is, what was something when you started digital media? Because I know a lot of us kind of not exactly like tripped and fell into doing digital media, but it sort of snuck up on us rather than it was a thing that we kind of directed ourselves to. What was the thing that when you started out working in the digital media space that you were surprised by? Either something that was easier than you thought it was or harder than you thought it was. What really kind of like curveballed you? Tyra, if we're cool, we'll start with you and kind of go down the line.
I think the thing that surprised me was that I like to be behind a microphone. I hate being in front of a camera. Hi, Twitch. And I'm working on, that's my stretch for this year, is to be on a camera. So I've been doing Twitch streams for the track. But I really loved being behind a mic, which I'm a teacher, so that shouldn't have been too surprising. But I actually like the sound of my voice most days, which is a little weird. But yeah, I think I just love talking to people and finding their stories. And yeah, I liked a microphone. Who knew?
Wow. I have a little bit of that as well. I mean, everyone thinks, oh, you're stand-up, you've been been on TV, you should want to be seen, and like, no, I don't. I just want the mic because for me, it's a production. Okay, now I got to put on makeup. Now I got to put on Spanx. Girl, they can't see your stomach, yes, but I feel my stomach. So can I just do the microphone thing? It's also a challenge for me, the C word for me, being collaborative. I just want to do it myself. Can I just do it by myself? But in the meantime, when I do work with other people, it's fun, but then you're working with schedules and personalities, and I have enough multiple personalities, and now I have to add yours. So, yeah.
I love that, actually, because that's you. So having gone through Twitch for 5 years and seeing the different types of success stories and just journeys that people have been on, I've definitely seen the people who have done it themselves, and they've definitely still collaborated. They've still interacted just because you don't have to pull in that schedule. I like that though, because I want to do it myself too a lot. Like I'm like, it's just so much easier to not have to worry about other people.
Right.
So I get it. But that doesn't mean like you can't still be a part of that community. And I'm not trying to like comment or blah, blah, blah. It's just my experience. And I think that's cool how you can still do it yourself, but still be a part of it. And yeah, there's like, everybody has their own little island, their own little corner that they're carving out. That's beautiful. The curveball, I would say, besides seeing how much people interact and how much of a community has already been built up when you hop on to digital media, like it's, a lot of the stuff's kind of been done for us, or y'all might have been there when you had to set the groundwork for us today. It's cool to see that, but also like how easy it was to show. For me, the ease of it was how when I put my first stream out there and how quickly the responses came in, like people seeing you. That's what it is. The perception, people perceiving you and seeing like, oh, you're really good at this. I really like that. I'm like, oh, you saw me? What? Down here at like 10 viewers? Where, how? What are you doing?
You're not my mom. Why are you watching?
Why are you watching? So that was my first curveball. Like the very first curveball was, oh, wow, people see me. Even though I went and I put myself out there, I'm like, oh, people, the power of it is actually real. Like people actually see you, and that can mean something. Like that can go somewhere. So that was tangible. It became tangible then.
Yeah, mine is definitely related. We're audio only, so the camera thing is not the issue for me, but it was more when Women at Warp got started, as far as we're aware, we were the first Star Trek podcast with an entirely woman team. So we did sort of lay a groundwork. I feel weird saying that because it's,
You just
but
do.
but
Own
we did.
Own that.
And in a way, with our presence and our platform, we became sort of a social barometer for some people
Mhm.
because of the kind of things we talked about. We talked about feminism, and we talked about queer stuff, and we talked about social justice. So we'd get emails, questions from listeners like, I'm having this trouble at work. What should I do? And I'm not an HR professional. I don't know how to handle that. There was,
I mean, were they
know,
working in engineering, the medical bay? Where are these questions coming from?
well, it was stuff like I feel like I'm being harassed at work. What should I do? Like
Oh,
gender
man.
stuff,
Yeah.
or feminism stuff, or I watched this other piece of media and they did this in it, and I'm not sure how to feel about it. How do you feel about it? I don't number one have the time to watch everything because I'm too busy watching Star Trek. But the I guess pedestal that you sometimes get put on.
You become a
It's-
role model.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
It's weird. And that definitely threw me for a loop.
I feel that.
Yeah.
Oh, anytime that I have gone to a convention or something and someone that I don't immediately like recognize by face comes up and is like, "Oh, I'm a huge fan of the show." I'm like, "Why?" Like,
Yeah.
like literally that you're not my mom. My mom doesn't even
Welcome on,
listen to this show.
welcome on.
Why do you listen to this show?
I'm her agent. We're working on that. We're not going to do that anymore. So yeah, but I love the genuinity, all of it. Yeah, it's very.
But
yeah.
The first time I got "Are you Sue from Women at Warp?" I recognized your voice. That was at this convention, and I think I had to sit down for 2 hours afterwards because it freaked me out.
Wow.
There's also the parasocial relationship you get sometimes because we exhibit at Star Trek conventions, where people I have never met before will come up and ask me how my cats are. I'm like, how do you know about my
Yes.
cats?
Oh my gosh.
Oh, right, because I talk about my cats on the internet. Like,
Yeah. I mentioned my cat last night on stage, and people in the audience went, "Sir, that's my cat's name." And I'm like, "Why do you know that?" And I realized I've talked about it, and people are listening. Like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
13-year-old me is very happy.
You're seen. That does open up a question though. Like when you guys are exhibiting in the space, there's sort of this expectation, and I've noticed that creators feel one way or another about it, and I'd love to get y'all's take. There's sort of this expectation of accessibility within the community when you are presenting in a digital space, especially I think when you present feminine, that you will have this there's this connection, there's this immediate sort of parasocial is what it is, but it's beyond that. It's this expectation that you will be emotionally available to your community. And I'd love to know what you guys sort of think on that being a responsibility. Is it an unfair expectation? Is it reasonable but only in limits? Like, where do you guys kind of take that?
I don't want to take up all the time, but I have a story.
Please do.
After a convention a couple years ago, someone posted a review of the podcast that was, "I'm a patron of this show and I'm an avid listener and I respond all the time. And I went up and I met the podcasters at the convention, but then they didn't invite me to hang out with them and they didn't want to spend more time with me. So I'm not going to support this show anymore." Wow. What? Yes, it was from a male. But I don't like, what do you think Patreon is? Patreon is supporting the show. It is not buying my friendship. Like, it was very weird. And it definitely freaked everybody out for a hot second. Yeah. It was like, what if this person is expecting this? What is everybody expecting this, or is this a one-off situation? And it gave we're a bigger team, we're a team of 6, and gave everybody a little bit of pause of do we continue the type of interactions that we do online, or do we need to be more protective of ourselves?
Did you feel like you were leading them on?
Not at all.
Okay, good.
Not at all.
I'm glad that we clarified that, because some people will assume oh, maybe you were doing something that made them feel that way. And it's like, no, some people really cling on to any sort of interaction, and they think that because they've consumed this, they've learned so much about you that this relationship is a two-way street.
Right.
And that's just not the case.
You
Yeah.
have to have boundaries.
Mhm.
Yep.
I mean,
Exactly.
boundaries in terms of what you share, but also boundaries with what you're willing to discuss.
Exactly.
I think that's a real important thing to decide before you start having those
Mhm.
conversations.
And even how much time you spend
Yes.
Mhm.
in those interactions. You know, I'll have someone that'll come up and I've done something, said something that connected for them, and then they want to come and tell me their entire life story or what they're going through, and how much do you listen,
Mhm.
and sort of indicate, hi, there are other people that might want to talk to me too, or so it's definitely a social management thing. I also it's an energy thing. How much do I have? Because if I've just done a
Mhm.
show, that's a level of energy. Then that social interaction is a different level of energy, and then I get home and wonder why I'm completely exhausted. So how much do you
Yes.
give, and how much do you let them take?
Mhm. Exactly.
I mean, every interaction that I've ever had with a fan of the show has left me just like emotionally just like full, I guess. Like
Yes.
I feel like I
Yes.
feel so I'm so happy, I'm so grateful. I feel like I'm so like thank you so much for listening. It means so much to me that what I
Mhm.
do means something to you. But I feel like because it's such an overwhelming interaction, especially because I have a very low social battery, I can get really overwhelmed really, really fast. And then I get home and I'm like, why am I like bouncing off the walls right now?
Right.
And it's because I had this lovely interaction, but it was a very overwhelming interaction. I can't imagine what it's like to have somebody dangle patronage of a show
Yeah.
that you have providing for
Mhm.
them and that you've been doing for them.
Mhm.
And using and acting as if that makes you their employee.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, yeah.
that's
They kind of told on themselves.
insane.
Mhm.
I mean, I feel like rational people would read that and be like, oh, you're a weirdo.
Yeah, that is essentially what happened from that situation.
Precisely.
But
yeah.
yeah, when exhibiting at a con is a lot. It's
Yep.
a lot, and it's because I mean, think about when the vendor hall hours, right? You're at the table all day, every day of that con, and you're
In customer service
Yeah,
mode. the
in
whole
customer
time.
service mode.
Woof.
And it's not just the fans who come up and see you. There are people who see what you do and want to challenge you.
Mhm.
There was somebody
What do you mean?
just at this last Star Trek Las Vegas last month. I had somebody who was like, "What is this?" And we give out pronoun buttons at that table, and people push back on pronouns. Well, I don't need to know who you sleep with. I'm like, well, that's not what this is. And they just want
Friend, I invite you to a dictionary.
Yeah, that's not what
wait.
that's not what displaying your
Yeah.
pronouns is, but cool. And then there was somebody who like, oh, you're a feminist. I bet you like Biden. I'm like, well, I'm farther left than Biden, but let's not talk about that. But then he just wanted to go on and on about like, well, will you admit that there were inconsistencies in the election? And it would
What?
not stop.
Sir, this is a Wendy's.
Yes. Yeah. And I got to the point where I was like, I will not discuss politics with you. Please leave my table. And then he'd start again. I will not discuss politics with you. Please leave my table. And I was about to send my neighbor to get security to take this guy away because you're physically putting yourself out there in that kind of space and open to that anger. On the internet, I can hit block. Like I wish I could like punch him in the face and hit block, but I couldn't do that. That's not okay. That's assault.
I'm really confused. Had he even seen Star Trek? I mean,
Right.
Right.
That's what I was saying.
We're about.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I said we like I'm in the franchise.
No,
I'm pitching for it.
think-
We
yeah.
know.
That's absolutely, and I'm not even surprised that you said it because I feel like in all of y'all's everything that you do, there's going to be somebody who's trying to challenge what you know, what they think you know, what they know, what they think they know about you. And I get that
All the
online. When you go on the internet and you say, oh yeah, I'm a computer scientist, I have a math minor, and immediately, well, how do you balance a non-binary tree? And you do it now. And I'm like, first of all, I'm front end, baby. Don't bother me. Right? Like, and I could do some back end, but why do they really think you have to prove something? Like it's that weird entitled, like you owe them something. And they think you deserve it because you put yourself out there.
You have to validate the space that you're taking
Yes.
that wouldn't be asked of someone that maybe perhaps did not look like you in
Mhm.
a way.
Yep.
We did our big show yesterday, the science and fiction comedy show And on the way in, a gentleman goes, "Oh, you're one of the comedians." I said, "Yes." And he goes, "Are you funny?" I'm like, "Absolutely not."
There you go.
Absolutely
just cut him at the
and he's like,
knees.
"Well, you have to make me laugh." I'm like, "No, I actually don't. Maybe
Yeah,
you should
yeah.
choose something else to do."
If
I
you
don't
find out
choose-
someone's a
Oh,
plumber,
that's
do
such a
you
good
immediately
response.
like,
Good for
"Oh,
you."
you're a plumber? Go fix my toilet right
Right,
now."
exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
sir,
I mean-
this is my job.
I've had to get to the place in my life where I realize I don't owe anyone an explanation or an argument
There
about
you go.
anything. I
Yes.
just don't.
That's literally the answer right there. I really want more people to understand
Yes.
that, because people will come to me and be like, "Well, this person really has a problem with this, and they told me that I need to do." And I'm like, first of all, who are they? What do you owe them?
Right.
Do you owe them money? Like, what's going on here? No, all right then, move on. And
I'm
yeah.
surprised by the people who want to get into it, because it's not, you don't even have to put yourself out there, really. I mean, I live in New York and I take the subway every day, right?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
have
Mm.
I have nerdy tattoos. In the summer they are visible for the most part, not all of them, but whatever. But like, I have a big old like palm-sized Princess Leia face on my calf. I have had strangers I have never met before come up to me on the subway and say, "Did you get that for your boyfriend?"
What?
No, I did not. Yeah, absolutely. I have
Sir,
been-
have you ever had a tattoo?
Yeah, I did not
Right.
spend this
First.
much money and sit through this much pain for anyone but me.
That's a weird one.
I have been reading a book, like a nonfiction book on baseball, because I also like baseball, and I had somebody interrupt me and try to quiz me on statistics. I'm like, just go away. Like,
That's why. Okay, well,
just
I
like
mean, I just
ex-
want.
existing as a femme presenting person in
Yeah.
public
Yeah.
is putting yourself out there for some
Yeah.
people. They feel that they have a right to challenge you. It's
Exactly.
wild.
It's that validation thing.
Yeah.
It's like having to prove that you
Yeah.
have the right to
No.
read a baseball book
No.
for the love of everything.
I'm not doing it. You're not going to cost me my time, my money, or my energy, because life is short. I cannot do it.
I know that a lot of people who are in this creative space that are femme presenting, not me asking for a friend. How did you guys?
Wink, wink.
How did you guys sort of reach the space, and was there an incident that sort of led you to the "I have nothing to prove"? Because for a lot of us, I know that there's this sort of instinctual like, "Oh, well, no, allow me to explain my qualifications as to why I am here,"
Mhm.
especially in stuff like computer science, where there are literal qualifications that allow you to speak on things. Like, man, I play Dungeons and Dragons for an audience. Like, it's saying they're like, "Hey, do you know what a dragon is? Cool, dope, come on in." Like, it's the bar's not that high. But when you're talking about stuff that has as much like lore as Star Trek does, and as much of an active fan base, unlike D&D, which doesn't have
Yes.
either of those things, or you're talking about like these kinds of spaces, how did you get to a point that you didn't feel like you needed to be like, "No, allow me to show why I need to be here"?
I feel like sometimes that's a daily struggle. Like, I have to remind myself, don't do it. But watching so many other people be so mediocre and be accepted for it.
Why are you me? Oh my god, I learned that from you. Wow.
I'm just saying, when you see what people are getting by with, and you're coming in with like 110% effort, and getting quizzed on it, like, you know what? Because I could do B-level work and still excel.
Mhm.
Are you serious right now?
It's okay. I love that energy. So, literally hitting off of that energy right there. Usually, the people who talk the loudest and try their hardest to try to
Mhm.
explain to you are literally the clueless in the dark. They don't know. The people who know what they're talking about, they're in the shadows, like, yeah, I hear you. Yes, they're the lurkers usually, or the people who are just signing off on what you say, and they'll come behind and go the respectful route and have a real conversation with you. But yeah, so already when I see you popping off with, "Well, I just started a project and our repository is pretty insane. We're working with this new language development." Like, I'm like, okay, baby, we are just playing Maple Story. Like, what do you need? And you go from there. Literally, you've already gone through everything you've had to do to prove yourself. I went to school. I'm done. I've dealt with my professors. I don't want to deal with them again. I don't have to prove myself to nobody.
I'm not
If I
carrying my
had been your
transcript in
professor,
my
it would have been okay. I'm just saying.
I love you. I love you. Oh my God.
I mean,
Please.
my students here volunteering. So.
Yes. I love professors. But please, what were you saying?
No, I was just gonna say I don't carry my transcript in my wallet. No one's ever
Right.
asked for it ever for any job at any time. I'm like, why did I
Oh.
even go to college? I could have lied. Like
No.
like a certain congressman from New York did. Anyway,
Right? Yes, truly.
Where that got him.
Exactly.
And they believed him.
I will say on the other
Getting
side of
spicy
that
on this
is
panel.
acknowledging and being humble and enough to say when someone asks you something, and if you don't know, going, oh, I don't know. And not knowing does not diminish me. It means that I'm still in the position or still in the space of, oh, I should learn that, or oh, I should investigate that, or hey, my Google's not broken. Let me figure it out. I'm okay if I don't know something. The brain is what? And then you put bourbon on top of that. I'm really fine.
That part.
You get real confident. I
I
like
say
that.
that there's a beautiful thing about being a woman and getting older.
Yes.
I knew
Mm.
because there's just this thing that at some point there's like a switch that goes. You're like, I
Yup.
don't care. I'm just going to tell you what I
No.
think. And it comes from that place of finally having enough life experience that you're like, I don't have to take that.
Yep.
And enough times where you've gone, oh, I wish I'd said that. And you have a bank of them then. And now you can drag them out when you actually can use them.
Yes.
All the
it's like,
conversations I've rehearsed in the shower will one day pay
Yes.
off.
Yes.
One day.
and
I love it.
you that switch and you go, baby, you hit me at the wrong decade.
Yeah.
You about to get it.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yes.
But there's I hate saying this because it sounds insensitive sometimes, but in some ways, not always, in some ways, I think COVID was a bit of a gift for creatives.
It's not I don't think it's insensitive. I think it's just the truth.
Yeah.
And it's just unfortunate.
Things
but
can
yeah,
be
I
tragic
agree.
and good.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
For a lot of us, especially those of us who have day jobs, I'm
Yeah.
not fully funded by my digital media work. It gave us a lot more time and a lot of time to evaluate. And that for me is definitely when I realized, it occurred to me how much energy I was spending on people who made me feel bad.
Yep.
Why? So like, if you want to come and fight with me, good for you. I'm not going to engage. I don't need to do that
That
anymore.
part.
That's not the vibe.
Nope.
Like if there's actual discussion and disagreement and things to learn from each other, or like, hey, you made this reference, but I think it's actually that, like, respectfully, yeah, sure, let's go. But if it's like, that thing is dumb and you're dumb for liking it, go to hell.
Yep. There it is.
Well, it's not like being challenged, it's the problem.
Right.
It's why are you challenging? Like
Right.
if you're like,
What's your
oh,
intention?
hey, your rules for like the way that you do this is really weird. Can you explain why? Oh yeah, sure, absolutely. I'm
Yes.
happy to explain my process. Your rules are dumb.
Well, I'm sorry you
Yeah.
disagree.
I've got nothing to go on with
Yeah,
that.
that's
Like
nothing. I
I
feel that.
I feel I relearned something I learned when I was 2 and forgot, that no is a complete sentence.
Yes.
Yep. That part.
I don't know if this is a specifically femme thing that we deal with because of the way we're socialized, or if it's like a me thing, but I always, when I do say no, I always felt guilty. So what I started doing that has made me feel better is when I say no to something that I would actually like to do, that seems like a worthwhile thing, I try to offer up somebody else's name. And when I do that,
Okay.
I also try to make sure that they are, have as many intersections of oppression as I do, if not more. Like, I want to get more
Mhm.
non-white
Intentional.
men onto panels,
Yes.
into places.
Absolutely.
So I have, like they say, make sure that you're friends with people who would say your name in a room you're not in.
yeah.
That's what I try to do, and that's what I try to be.
Oh my gosh.
That's
wow.
how I got to
y'all,
DragonCon.
y'all got to stop reaching into my brain. No, that's why I do what I do now, because that's exactly that's the precedent, that's the standard, that's what I want people to go forward with, especially women in digital media. You need to be in a room with women who are going to support you, talk about you, support you. And when you finally sit back and you're like, yeah, no, I got my team behind me. I don't have to prove myself to anybody else. Like, there it is. There's the
But-
magic.
Being able to point somebody to another person and give that person an
Yep.
opportunity has
Mhm.
taken all of that guilt away.
Exactly.
So I want to ask one final question. I also, you guys might notice there's a mic stand up there. For any of you that have any questions, if you'd like to line up at that mic, we're going to be doing questions as soon as I ask this question, because I wanted to ask you guys as sort of like the fundamental thing, what keeps you doing this? I mean, I know that we all have our love for what we do, and I know that we all have our passion for what we do, but what is the thing that keeps you coming back to the mic? What is the thing that keeps you editing for hours into the wee morn? What is the thing that keeps you going forward in this?
I'm trying to impress myself. That's really me. Like, ultimately, I want to bring everyone along in that journey. I want to build that community. I'm very invested in everyone's stories. And because of what I've been doing, I've gotten to meet amazing people and talk to amazing people. It's clearly the right path. So even if I get tired, it's still fun to see at our level how far we can go and how many, shoulders we can rub with women who are just as amazing as I am. And yeah, that's my motivation. I really want to change that narrative of you have to be the best woman in the room to be seen, when really you should just accept all women in any form of media at any level. You shouldn't have to break your back to go and do the stuff that men get to do just by existing. So yeah, that's why I do it. I don't want to be the person who takes on the whole. I'm not trying to take on the whole mission and make that my life statement, but it is a part of it. I think it's important. I think if we succeed, then we can just keep carving out that path, widening the road, bringing up the ceiling, and making it so we can make it easier for other women to go down that path. Sorry about that. That was
amazing.
Yeah.
My answer is layered. As I think about what keeps bringing me back, are so many different answers, but I think it boils down to, this is gonna sound silly, but like I feel like we're changing people's lives.
No, truly.
And I say that not to sound like full of myself, but as the exact opposite of the person who wanted to fight with me about politics. We've had gotten emails from people that told them we helped them figure out their identity, their gender and their sexual identity.
one.
We've had people email and tell us that we changed their mind about queer people. Like that, no number of downloads, no amount of money can change that. I would not trade that. And if it's just a handful of people that we do that for, that's why I keep coming back, because I feel like, we're talking about a science fiction show, but the conversations we're having about it are important conversations.
I think one big reason for me is that prescription cat food costs money.
Can I talk about how she's not lying? Each sub
Oh my
feeds Tony Bark.
God.
Listen.
And each single one feeds my dog. So I agree.
Right, yeah, and he has he gets the UR food, dry and wet, so my boy has a
Both.
lifestyle to which he has become
That
accustomed.
part.
Tilly is on satiety support, and a pallet of that costs $64.
Yeah.
It
It's
doesn't even
expensive,
last a
y'all.
month.
Exactly.
So
I'm like,
expensive.
don't walk by that bowl and not eat that food.
You better
that I just
finish
bought.
it.
You better smile while you eat that kibble, Mr. Mittens.
Listen,
My
listen.
community
Social
bought
media
this for
pictures
you.
of it.
Yeah.
But also I realize I'm in a very fortunate position. I chose to do what I love. It doesn't make it easy to do, but I'm not trapped in a cubicle. I'm out in the world living my dream, doing what I love in an industry that is absolutely wretched. But when I meet audience members and they tell me their stories, I was sick, I lost my job, I got a divorce, and all of these life things that happen, and people go, but you made me laugh. And I'm not changing the world. I don't have any illusions about that.
Let's just change the world.
But I feel like I help people put down their burden for sometimes 30 to 45 minutes. And at the end of that time, they pick it up and it's not as heavy when they leave. And if I can do that, then I do think that I'm doing something. I mean, I've performed I live in New York City, and I had a comedy show on September 12th, 2001. And I'm like, nobody's going to be there. Why am I going into the city? This is ridiculous. I live in Queens, and I went in, and there were people in that club. It was mostly tourists that got stuck in the city, and they needed to laugh. I've performed for the troops in the Middle East, and when you see what 18 years old looks like in a uniform and a gun, I like, does your mom know where you are? Like, why are you here? But to provide laughter for people in a situation where it is absolutely not funny at all. When you can pull that off, it feels like a little bit of a superhero thing. But I'm doing something that I chose. I'm supported. I was supported in doing it by my parents, and not everybody gets that either. And I work with some of the most weird and damaged and funny and amazing people. This is a great job. Why wouldn't I want to do this?
That part. I love it. That was beautiful.
It was. I have to follow that. Next time you sit on the end.
No, Rosa Parks made it so I could sit here.
That part. No, that's sad. I will pay, aunties and uncles, my unks, everybody that was before me. I am here to pay homage now. I'm here for my grandpa, my grandma, everybody. You are absolutely right. They put us here for real.
I know I make the ancestors smile.
Yeah, there
That's
you
an
go.
important thing.
Oh my God, this is shirts, y'all.
I know.
These are quotes.
I'm a crier, so this is not good. Just saying. So I teach. That's my day job, and I've been doing it for 31 years.
That's superhero work, man.
I teach older kids, which is better. Let me tell you that much.
Truly.
Most days. But I know I've changed lives, and I've had an impact on them. And some of them, it's their careers. Some of them, it's my brother's in rehab. I need somebody to talk to. Sometimes it's somebody who died, and I'm just the person that ends up talking about grief. And I know that I'm not going to be doing that forever. At some point, I'm not going to be in a classroom. But I know that what I'm supposed to do here is take care of people and help them see the brighter side. Charles interviewed me on his show, and he says, my tagline is, it's going to be okay. And that's kind of like why I wanted to keep doing creative stuff and keep being in digital, so that I can tell people it's going to be okay. It may not be okay today, and it sure is, if you fill in your favorite curse word, it may not be okay tomorrow, but it will eventually be okay. And so I know that as I'm getting older and I'm going to transition out of teaching, and that's going to break my heart in two, it's going to be okay.
Oh my God. Tyra.
Welcome to Awesome Women in Digital
We're all
Media.
gonna cry
And
now.
emotional
Okay,
sucker
listen.
punches. Okay.
Right.
I did not pack waterproof mascara.
did.
So can we please?
Tyra, oh my God. That's amazing.
So if anybody does have questions, we do have the mic up and ready to go. And on a final note for you guys, if you had advice to give, not the people who maybe are doing creating and who are working on this now, if you were to give yourself advice, like around the time that you started, be it 5 years ago, be it 10 years ago, be it 17 years ago.
Go get assessed for ADHD.
Marry for money.
This is your sign. This is your sign. Don't go full sprinkle, but you know, hey, use what you got.
Just
Yeah.
effing do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah.
I love that. Yes, truly, just go ahead and lean into what you
Yeah.
love. That was what I needed to do.
I like that.
Hi, how you doing?
Hi.
Hello.
You're not a woman. Not
It's me, your friendly neighborhood cishet white man.
Hi.
They still like
That's
you.
hilarious.
I married one of you.
Actually, I did too.
Oh, you're funny. Oh my God.
That's allyship. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
We love Scott.
Thank you for coming up.
Something that my wife and I have discussed at length is how I can be supportive of her, but I know that that's really specific to her. So for everybody in the room, it'd be great for me if y'all could talk a little bit about how we can be really supportive when, like, obviously we don't want to be in the spotlight. We don't want to make it about us.
Yeah.
But we do want to lift y'all up. Like, how can we do that better?
Don't tell me to relax. That's the first thing. That's the number one. All right. There's my manager still working on that right now. I married my manager, if y'all didn't know. He wasn't my manager before, but he became my manager. It's a thing. But
Multi-purpose.
that part, literally, truly a Swiss Army knife. But I'm gonna just give y'all that one note. Don't tell me relax, but also my burden, like, recognize my downfalls. I think that's really just comes down to being a good partner. You're pretty sure you're doing 99% of the things right already. So yeah, for me specifically, I know I struggle with certain numerical, statistical, keeping up with stuff, like, like maybe money's not my favorite thing to talk about. So that is definitely where my partner fills in, and he's amazing, and he's able to just track everything that I do. Whenever I'm on a job, he's making sure that everything else that I need to take care of, like getting clips, taking pictures with people, keeping up with names, even, like, he's on that. And he's even on he's such a manager, but he's so good at it, and that's how he helps me. How do y'all? Yeah.
If we're talking about people personally, right? I think there's a difference between, like, creators you want to support. If we're talking about people personally,
Yes.
what can I do for you is a great question. And do you want to rant, or would you like solutions? Is another
big
great
one.
question.
That's so
great
That's
one.
huge. Do you want me to listen, or do you want me to help?
Yeah.
That's
just
huge.
a good friend thing.
Yes.
too.
Yeah. That's just personal relationship
Everybody needs
things.
that.
Yes.
If it is a creator you don't know you want to support, retweet, repost, suggest.
Yep.
Hey, a convention is looking for people to come talk on their podcasting track. Hey, my favorite podcast is this. Why don't you guys invite them? Right. So that's a great way to put their name out there and spread the word.
As listenership, you actually have an immense amount of power on things like
Yeah.
conventions.
Yeah.
If
For
you
real.
have a creator that you're like, I really want to meet them one day, harass the con about inviting them as a guest.
Yeah.
That is so
Yep.
helpful.
Yeah.
If we if we can prove to people that, like, no, here, allow me to point at people who like the things I do and will be willing to pay money to come to watch me do more things, that can slingshot your favorite creators into a better spot overnight.
It goes from, why should I invite these people? I've never heard of this podcast, to, we've had a few people ask about this podcast. There are probably more who'd be interested. And all it takes is 3 or 4 people asking for that show.
That part. Oh. Hi.
So I have a cryptozoology channel. I talk about, like, Bigfoot and that kind of thing. And I just came out as trans publicly, like, last
Yay,
year.
congratulations.
Problem is, the overwhelming majority of people who consume that type of content are, like, 50+ Republican males.
Oh, baby.
So
Yeah.
I was wondering if y'all had any advice on how to, like, break into younger, like, maybe queer demographics.
So first off, what is the name of your?
Yes.
Project Darkwood.
Okay, because my husband is a white cis male and he loves that shit. So I will get him to follow you.
Cool.
One of the things that you can do is, if you have any kind of, like, if any of your podcast is any kind of, like, dialogue podcast, have queer creators come onto your show, especially queer creators that have followings,
Great.
because a lot of times they will bring their following to listen to the show that they've guested on. And generally, if they like that vibe and that is something that they're a part of, they will either stay, or they will be like, hey, I know my friend really likes this kind of thing. Let me see if they want to check it out. That can be very, very helpful.
Yeah.
And literally was just gonna, like, I was curious about how much collaborating you do and collaboration, because that's really the only way you're gonna be able to change your audience.
Gotcha.
You're gonna have to drag other people, and you don't necessarily have to just subscribe to bringing on guests. It's really just interacting too. Like, you go in there, you find your tribe, you talk about yourself, build up that because everybody needs a tribe. I hope you have that online circle of yeah, we're working on that thing.
Yeah.
Work on that. And hey, I'm happy to talk about that too. I'm not sure if you stream often, or I'm curious about your content. I would like to keep up with it.
It's mostly, like, expeditions going out into the woods and, like, looking for stuff.
Oh my god,
Oh,
that's so
that's
cool.
way-
Okay.
I
Wait,
just
are
got
we
done
are
with,
we
like,
talking
a-
about dating, or are we talking about animals?
Sometimes like both.
Both, yeah, I don't know. No,
That's
it's like
amazing.
I just got back from a 3-month long travel vlog road trip thing where I went across the entire eastern U.S. looking for local cryptids.
That's beautiful.
Wow.
That's so cool.
All right. So,
So-
one more time for everybody at home.
Yes.
One more time
What
for
is the
everybody
show
at
name?
home.
Project Darkwood.
Project
Such a cool
Darkwood.
The other thing I'm going to say to you, especially if you want to put like your queerness and your transness forward, right, is to look at what why are we pointing at?
Because
We want to know what places the
Oh.
podcast can be found on.
Oh
Yes,
yeah,
we'll-
yeah, it's not a podcast. It's just a YouTube channel.
YouTube.
Oh, okay.
All right. Perfect.
Look at what other creators are doing, even if it's not in the same space. The people that immediately come to mind are Jessie Gender, who creates in like the mostly Star Trek, but other nerd spaces. But also the Trans Handyman is incredible and has a huge TikTok following, right? So I think people like that, or even finding a community of trans creators, might be able to give you that support and give you more
Yes.
ideas from what they went through and what they're doing. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you guys.
Absolutely.
Yes.
We have people in the chat that are asking.
Yeah,
they're
that's it.
actually-
It's Project. It's the big yellow werewolf logo. You can't miss it.
And
There you
can I
go,
just
yeah.
say one tiny little thing when they asked what is it a podcast? You said no, it's just a YouTube channel.
Oh,
I'm gonna ask you to just drop the word just.
That's fair.
Yes. It's
We
a
don't have
YouTube
to.
channel.
I don't
It's a
have
small
to do video
thing,
editing. You
but-
do.
Yeah, 90% of my life.
I don't even have to
Yeah.
wear real person pants when I record sometimes.
Yeah.
Like you are
Oh.
doing
You're doing
more
that.
right now.
That's impressive. Seriously.
Yeah, for real.
I hope
And-
we helped.
And
Yeah.
don't underestimate the audience that's out there, because I have a whole bevy of women who watch stuff like that.
Oh yeah. I mean, I
So-
found a few. It's just really tough. 'Cause I stopped uploading for a while, so I kind of they kicked me out of the partnership program. So the algorithm, the almighty algorithm, is on my side anymore.
Have you been to the like paranormal and X track here at DragonCon?
Not yet.
Go
We're
hang out with those
gonna
people too.
find
your-
Make
Yeah.
friends with the track directors, and they can get you on panels as well.
Join these. Oh my God. Join these
Yeah.
Discords, y'all. Like seriously, join these.
Connections, networking.
You wonder how you get up here is talking. Go and join these Discords, talk, and see where your content. You could literally just do this here. So yeah, hey, that's your homework.
I'll
I
even,
better see you here next
I'll
year.
even
Just-
toss in the science track.
Yes,
right?
yes,
Oh, yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
that's true.
They have Discords. Go find them.
They had a Georgia Cryptids panel that I missed yesterday.
There
Mm.
you go. You found your people.
Yeah.
Wow. Look at that. Find them. Work it out. I can't wait to see more. Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Yes.
Hi.
Bonsoir.
Hello.
So cute. Thank you all for being here.
Oh no. Thank you.
Is this better? Okay.
I feel your pain.
Feel free to adjust it.
down
Yeah,
eventually.
there you
Yeah.
go.
Short for this. Okay. So my question for all of you is that in my industry, often it's been very difficult for women to rise up, and then the ones who have, it's almost become more competitive than it has been supportive. And so I'm interested in hearing about the role of female mentorship, either that you've received or that you've been mentoring in your careers.
I love that. Y'all want to start? No? Okay.
Okay, I'll speak to
There we
it.
go.
There's two things you want to look for in terms of people helping you. The first one is a mentor, and to try to find somebody who is above you in what they're doing in terms of they're further along in their career. But the other one you want is somebody who's going to say your name in the room, that's going to be your cheerleader, because we have to have that. I mean, everybody needs that. I mean, everybody needs to find their cheerleader, so that somebody's saying, hey, who can do this? They can say, Sally can do that, and this is why. And that the mentor will help you even further in that space. I will tell you that I've never had a mentor, and it's probably one of the saddest things in my life. I've mentored lots of people, and it's that always come to the party bringing something for them as well, because mentorships are relationships. It's supposed to be a two-way, and as a mentor, you can learn so much from the person you're mentoring. So make sure you bring something to the table.
And also be that mentor that you want. Make sure that there's somebody that knows less than you or has less experience than you. How are you helping that person? Are you dropping their name? Are you being kind when someone asks you a question? Are you even open to being asked a question, or are you closed off? I think that energy attracts that energy. Do you know what I mean? Is there a lot? I work in entertainment. It is in a cesspool. It is a toxic place, but I've managed to find decent people that I know are on my side, they do mention my name in a room. And when I can't do a gig, I know who to recommend. I've got that list of people. I've had people come up to me and go, I met you 10 years ago. And I'm like, and do I owe you money? And they're like, no, I just wanted to say that you were nice to me when so many people weren't. And it doesn't take much. It really doesn't. You know?
Yeah.
I'll say that. Yeah, I'll say just my note on that, because you said competitive, and a very competitive space, I'm assuming. That's ultimately why I'm in this job now, where Twitch has made a guild for women to come in and share their knowledge, support each other. Literally, while I might feel like a glorified Discord manager sometimes, it's amazing to see how these women advocate, support, and uplift each other. So they're pulling each other onto their own opportunities. I know that's the creator space is very different because you can go and create your own opportunities, but in a work environment, the most and one of the best mentorship tips I've gotten is make sure if you're trying to go forward, you need to find that skip person. So you know your boss. Okay, who's above your boss? You need to be talking to that person. I'm already talking I'm very lucky to have already spoken to the Twitch CEO well before I got into this job. We've already had a relationship. When they saw me, they couldn't avoid me. My hair is big, and we both have been in New Orleans several times. It happens. So I would say, to start laying that groundwork is going and fortifying yourself and your ladder, your corporate ladder. But then exactly what they're saying as well, getting your tribe, two-way street. You got to support to get support. It needs to be genuine, but that's what you got to do. And then y'all build y'all's circle in there.
Oh, can I throw in
Please,
something else? It
of
doesn't have,
course.
please don't make it transactional.
Yes.
Yeah, no.
You know,
Genuine.
Yeah.
sometimes the best seeds are planted because you were a friend, you were a nice person, you tucked a sister's tag in on her dress. You know, it's not, oh, I did this, give me this. You are planting for the future. And also mentorship doesn't just go one way on the generational plane. You know, it's not just younger to older. Older folks can learn stuff from younger folks, you know, because they might be more plugged in to something that you don't know. So don't be afraid, mature folks, seasoned folks, to go, you know what, I don't know what these young folks are doing. Let me turn up and ask.
I want to say, though, I don't think it has to be somebody who is doing the same thing you are doing, but older. I have never directly had a mentor either, but I looked to this is very Star Trek. I'm sorry I make everything about Star Trek, but that's what I do.
Yeah,
I've been
You are on brand.
Yeah. The Star Trek fandom has always been driven forward by the women who were involved. Women created the fanzines, women created conventions, women started the letter writing campaign that kept the show on the air for a third season that allowed it to be syndicated. It has always been women in this fandom driving it forward. And as I mentioned, as being the first show, the first podcast entirely hosted by women, I felt very much like we were continuing that legacy. So when I was feeling lost, or I'm going to cry, lost or unsure, I would go back and I would read the fanzines. I would read the books they wrote about from women I never knew who created modern fandom. And that's where I look to, and those are my mentors.
Oh, I love that. Oh my God,
God
I hope that helps. I hope that helps.
So say we all. Oh, that's a different franchise. Sorry.
This is the way. I'm sorry.
Hi. So before I ask my question, I just want to also say, because I've been thinking about it since it was mentioned, when you change one person, you're not just changing one person, because it branches out to the people that they know and then the people that they know. So it's not just I changed one person. It's who knows how many people.
And so on and
Yeah.
so on.
I love
And
that.
then for my question, so I've streamed on Twitch a handful of times. What I do is mostly like I play a video game, and then either by myself or with some friends, we kind of just almost podcast about whatever we're thinking. It's never consistent. It's always random, whatever's on our minds at the time. And I'm wanting to try and like branch out and find people, because right now the only people who are really watching are like the people that I've known on Discord for however long. And so I know about like connecting with other media makers and stuff like that. I was wondering if I were to like start like maybe posting stuff on like TikTok, YouTube, and do YouTube shorts, is there any way that I can like put myself into those spaces in a way that will draw in the kind of people that are like queer, femme, and like, if not in those communities, at least supportive of those communities to try and keep it a safe and positive group.
Okay, so I'm assuming that this question is more Twitch centric.
Kind of a mix of everything
A
because
mix of all of it. Okay, it's very social.
yeah.
Seems very social. Okay. So, hi, I'm ChelseaBytes, and I do it all on every platform. Yeah, I 100% agree, and I think Twitch is probably one of my favorite platforms to build and connect in those spaces because it's live, and you can make a direct impression right away with someone live, and you can do that on TikTok too. I don't feel it's the same because they're still working out that kind of interact. It's not as diverse, as robust as Twitch is, but I may not stream at the same numbers or hit the same impressions as my friends that I've been streaming alongside with for 5 years. But because I've gone through that space, I've talked and I've talked and I've talked and I've talked and talked to people and made genuine relationships. There's a whole nother there's a whole nother track about this, Neighborhoods Over Numbers. Absolutely should check it out. It's basically the way to skip having to worry about your numbers. You develop your relationships and your friends take you places that your numbers honestly never could do.
Yeah.
And while that's not the goal, you build out a special place for yourself and the people that you build up with and work with, and y'all just see how far y'all can take it. And it can be so unique. It can be so wonderful. And I really think that if you find a place to settle, you find 5 people that you love, you look at creators that you love, and you start interacting with them and the people around them, you'll slowly realize, like, wow, I'm doing the thing that this app is wanting me to do, which is socialize. And you'll be able to build and bring in people to your communities as well. And y'all can bond over that. That's the beauty of it, because now I'm walking and I'm seeing people that I just met, and I'm like, oh my God, look at how far my network has grown. It's nuts. I can pull on all these people to do anything. And it's amazing. But that's me. I'm sure y'all can add on to that.
I will say we have time for one more question. Then I want everybody to say where people can find you. But it does look like we do have one final question.
Really quickly. Decide your community guidelines or rules or whatever you want to call them and make them public before you have a problem.
Yep. Always.
That's how you keep a safe space.
Good
Sorry.
communities.
Hello.
Hi.
What advice would you have for someone who's considering starting a podcast?
Ooh. I'm not a podcaster.
I'll go.
Go.
Okay,
Yes.
so the first thing I'm going to suggest is join our Discord. We have something called an open mic night. So if you want to come on and chat, Scott usually runs our stream. And we have people on. You can come over and take over our stream, or I'll interview you if you want to get comfortable. That's a great way to do it. But with podcasts, just get a mic and do it. Figure out what your target market is, figure out what you want to talk about, have some sort of outline, and then just let it rip.
Our first 10 episodes for Quid Pro Roll, the audio is not great. It's very clear that we're not super sure what we're doing. You'll get over that. Your first couple episodes are going to be rough.
You're gonna be bad at it at first. But we just before this panel, we did digital media Shark Tank next door, and we workshopped ideas. And the question that came up to everybody who pitched was, what makes you different?
Yup.
That's the only question you have to answer before you get started. What makes you different? And that's what you lean into.
Because everybody's ideas were great. You just told you to do it.
Yep.
All right, ladies, would you be so kind as to say where people can find you if they want to hear more of your melodious voices, or in those of us who are actually doing video editing and being the real champions, your beautiful faces?
Oh, heck. Tyra Burton, tyraburton.com. You can find my podcast, Building Bold Connections, just about everywhere. And hopefully the Geeky Side and Geek Meet Social will be back.
I am Leanne Lord. You can find me at veryfunnylady.com. I am on Instagram. I'm on TikTok against my will. I am on Twitter because I love a good dumpster fire. And
X now, honey. X.
yes, I forgot. It's named after Malcolm X. So
That's much better than
Yes,
using
I like that a lot.
There's a flavor
and
there.
Barack Obama follows me there, so maybe you might want to too.
It's awesome.
And today's my birthday.
Why would you lead? You gotta happy birthday. You gotta lead with that. Happy birthday.
I forgot.
We should sing happy birthday together.
Oh no.
I'm Sukasa Mother. You can find Women at Warp at womenatwarp.com. You can find me later tonight over in the Trek Track at 11:30 p.m., where we will be reading aloud some of the earliest Star Trek fan fiction from the 70s.
It's right there.
So come on over 11:30. You're going to hear about some Vulcan private parts. Because and also come up after the panel. I have a huge bag of swag. It's mostly earrings. Please take as much as you'd like.
They're really cute. I'm gonna take the rest if you don't. Hi, I'm ChelseaBytes. You can find me just about everywhere: TikTok, Threads, Instagram, but definitely Twitch. And I would love to talk more about guilds if that's something that's interesting to you. But also computers, food, everything. And yeah, you can honestly at this point Google me too. I'm about that, and I'd love to meet y'all.
And finally, my name is Alex Smith. I am the DM of the Actual Play podcast Quid Pro Roll, available wherever podcasts are not sold. If you paid for it, I have not seen any of that money. And if you would like to see me in physical space, I have a shop in Richmond, Virginia that is a comic store called Alpha Comics and Games. Also, you can find me at Checks Notes. Not at 8:30 here at Not Everything is Content, How to Stay Private While Creating Online. Guys, thank you so much for being here, and please, wonderful round of applause for our ladies.
Oh my God,
Happy
they're so
birthday,
amazing.
ladies.
She is beauty. She is grace. Oh my God.